Hey everybody, Adhpa here. Welcome back. If you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe. We're going to talk a little bit today about my philosophy about the planetary alignment that has recently occurred and what kind of an effect that has on humanity, and what we might expect to see because of it. Its alignment hasn't occurred since the mid 1800s, particularly with where the alignment is occurring in the different zodiac signs. So I don't know a whole lot about that, but it's supposed to be a pretty spectacular event. And what can we expect from that? So a couple of things that come to me right off the bat is one would expect that if there is an alignment of planets that's viewable from the Earth, that in some way changes the dynamics of the various universal poles on the planet. I don't know if that would turn out to mean a lot of wind, or how exactly that affects the planet. But according to the astrologers and so forth, it opens up, I don't know, all kinds of possibilities for change and moving into a time where perhaps things become clearer. There's more clarity and unity among humanity. Don't know if that's the case or not. But I thought this would be kind of fun to do a pull on and see what the cards have to say. But before we do that, let's back up and rewind. The last video I did was on the stock market and looking at what would happen for the week, and I expected some sort of a correction. The cards seemed to back that up, and indeed that's what we had. We ended up ending the week sort of at the same kind of numbers we had back in October. So very similar to what it seemed like the cards were saying. So pretty good validation on the cards. So today, let's see what the cards have to say about this huge lineup of planets and what kind of an effect we can expect on the social structure of humanity. So hold tight here and I'll pull you down and we'll, oh, got a new way to do it here. So I gotta turn my back on you to pause the video, and then I'll bring you down and we'll throw out of we'll use the cards we've been using, the Crow Tarot and the Pocket Oracle, and do a double read. Again, I like that, and we'll stick with those cards for the moment. All right, hold tight and down we'll come. All righty then. So I have shuffled them, but I will shuffle a bit more here, and we'll think about how this planetary alignment is going to affect humanity. What happens to Earth and its inhabitants when these kind of alignments affect the planet? What is the effect on the planet? And let's see what the cards throw out. Planetary alignment. All right, looks like we want that one. That'll be it. Usually when the cards don't toss out a card, it usually is an indicator that it's a pretty loosey-goosey topic, which you'd expect on something of this nature, because probably could have all kinds of different effects depending on the ages. And oh, they're really wanting to say something now. And that's how we'll have them. That's kind of how they fell. For fun. All right, let's see. Signifier card. We got the Five of Pentacles. That's kind of that out in the cold center of well-being before you hit that middle peak, you know, and things when you're rising up to hit that middle plateau, things can be rough. Maybe you make it, maybe you don't. That's probably a pretty good indicator of the universe. Universe is kind of halfway. I mean, it's a tough environment. It's out in the cold. It's harsh. The owl, clarified by the owl. It's a card of wisdom. There is maybe some consciousness to it. Taken by the planet showing in there. I don't know. Let's see where this goes. The challenge, magician. Challenged by the magician. Manipulation, higher forces. Interesting. Clarified by the gatherer. The magician is the gatherer. Gatherer of what? Gatherer, manipulator. I don't know. Has control over. King of Wands, that director of internal passions, as clarified by the medicine wheel. Internal passions around the wheel. This seems to be talking about maybe we make more out of this than it really is, but we'll see. Card in the past, 8 of Pentacles, working on well-being, clarified by magic. So there's something, maybe something, I don't know, something mystical, something magical about the way this alignment, because it has just occurred. So if we're talking about this alignment that happened a couple days ago, then of course we're going to see it here having just occurred. Okay. First of all, the can't control Page of Swords, opening the way to new thinking, new ideas, as clarified by the Jaguar, which protects that. Can't control, maybe it brings in air energy. This is air. Page of Swords is the suit of air. So maybe it brings in some sort of new energy in there, and it's protected somehow. It's something we can't do anything about. It just affects us. What happens, the intention, interesting, 7 of Cups, because that is all, all possibilities, including delusional interpretations, rational interpretations, delusional interpretations, good choices, poor choices. So maybe this is indicating that it has an intention of opening up possibilities of energy, new energies, or it could be this represents the energies of all the aligned planets. They come into being, and each bring their particular energy, as clarified by the Council. That's interesting. Because it's sort of like the Council of Planets. It brings in the energies of all of the planets. Okay. Earth, how it sees itself in relationship to these events. 5 of Swords. That is, again, like the 5 of Pentacles, is not having quite reached the center of well-being. We haven't quite reached the center of thinking either. And there's again a harshness and an abuse of power aspect to it, a sense of gonna have to take it. I mean, you can go to the next step. There's a victory here, but in some ways there's some spite or some unnecessary use of force to get that victory. I think it was wrested very harshly. It doesn't necessarily have to be so. And maybe that's representative of the Earth and the position of the Earth in the planetary alignment, representing something about maybe being in the center of the alignment, and also having some protective, like taking something like maybe the moon was taken from some other aspect of the system and brought to the earth, perhaps. Clarified by the mystical shaman. Interesting. So, it's almost like this is saying that there's some energy, being, or forces that have worked with the earth specifically. Environment in which it sits, King of Swords. Directs the external aspects of thinking and actions of thought and air, as clarified by the Sorcerer. Wow, it really seems to be saying this is really stuff we don't know a lot about. It's kind of out of our hands, out of control of humanity, which makes sense. I mean, it's universal energies. So, hold on one second. I'm going to have to take a little sneeze break. Sorry about that. 'Tis the season for allergies, so and I'm getting hit with it today. Hopes and fears. 7 of Pentacles. That is that sort of hoarding up of pentacles, waiting for something to happen, waiting for the harvest. Clarified by the blade that cuts through. It's kind of like that sword of truth, the blade. It cuts through, cuts all ties, cuts all ideas. So I think the fear here is that maybe humans are afraid that this planetary alignment will do some harm to the earth, or we hope it'll bring some truth in alignment. What it actually does is 9 of Cups. And that is that, again, we got the smug merchant, having all the energies. So it just brings in a whole bunch of energies, as clarified by the Time Master. That's interesting. Brings in a lot of energies that maybe are used through time, dispensed through time. The effect carries on through time. Bottom of the deck is the Queen of Cups. It's that directing of the internal energies, as clarified by the Rainmaker. Oh, that's interesting too. I guess I would say that probably these alignments have some effect on the weather patterns of the earth. Maybe even the energies internal to the earth can maybe have something to do with the possibility of earthquakes or other core magma changes and effects that can affect the weather and unfold over time. So I would say we got a reading that is what we asked for. What it means is subject to some debate. But it doesn't seem to have much effect on the social aspect of humanity. It's more about the energies of the planet itself, specifically the internal parts of the planet and the weather. So we look forward to have that effect on that. All right, hold on, and I'll bring you up, and we'll close it out. Woo! Okay, well, oh boy, I'm really getting an allergy attack today. It's got my eyes running, got me all sneezy and everything. So I can't say we can blame the alignments for that. This is just springtime. But I think that's very interesting that when we pull on a topic that is maybe a little difficult and obtuse and scientific and affected by so many universal forces, that we get that kind of a reading. We get a reading that shows it to be kind of mystical, uncontrollable. The effects are maybe not what we think they are or what we've been told they might be, but they do seem to affect the actual internal energy of the planet's system itself and potentially the weather. So let's watch it and see. We certainly are having weird weather events. We certainly have had strange windstorms and weird weather and earthquakes and all of that since this alignment. So I would say it's an interesting read, food for thought. Leave your comments. I don't know that we got anything definitive out of this one, but maybe next week we can read on something a little more solid, give people something to track to compare to. Meanwhile, I think it was a good read. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment, like and subscribe. See you next week, folks. Love you. Thanks.